my parents shamed me for my ex-boyfriend. They started the second I brought him home junior year of high school. His name was Owen, and he worked at the auto shop downtown after dropping out sophomore year. My parents took one look at his oil-stained hands and the tattoo on his forearm, and I could see my mom's face just freeze up. Dinner that night was awful. My dad kept asking him questions like where he saw himself in 5 years, and if he planned on going back to school. Owen just shrugged and said he was happy fixing cars. My mom barely touched her food. After he left, she told me I could do so much better, and that I was throwing my future away. I was 16, but Owen was good to me. He'd pick me up after school in his beat-up truck, and we'd drive around listening to music. He remembered little things like how I only liked the corner brownies and that I hated when people chewed with their mouths open. He made me laugh. That was enough for me. My parents didn't see it that way. Every time I mentioned him, my mom would sigh really loud, and my dad would launch into some lecture about how important it was to date someone with ambition. They'd bring up my cousin who was dating some guy in medical school. They'd talk about their friends' kids who were with people going to fancy colleges. It got so old. When I graduated high school, Owen gave me this bracelet he'd made himself out of spare motorcycle chain links. It was actually really cool, and he'd spent hours on it. I wore it every day. My mom saw it once and asked if it was from a thrift store. When I told her Owen made it, she just said, "How nice," in that voice that meant the opposite. College started, and I was only 30 minutes away, so Owen and I kept dating. My parents hated it. They thought college was my chance to meet someone better. My mom would ask if I'd met any nice boys in my classes. My dad offered to set me up with his coworker's son who was studying engineering. I told them I wasn't interested. Things with Owen were good for a while, but then he started picking up extra shifts at the shop and we saw each other less. When we did hang out, he was tired and kind of distant. I tried talking to him about it, but he'd just say work was stressful. I believed him because I wanted to. Then one Saturday, I drove to the shop to surprise him with lunch. His coworker told me Owen had left early. I called him and he said he was at the shop. I told him I was literally standing there and he went quiet. He finally admitted he was at his ex's place helping her move some furniture. He swore nothing was going on, but I didn't know what to believe anymore. We got into this huge fight and I told him I needed space. He said fine, and that was it. We broke up over something that stupid. Part of me wanted to fix it, but the other part was just exhausted. I was tired of defending him to my parents and tired of wondering if he actually cared. My parents found out we broke up and they were thrilled. My mom actually hugged me and said she was proud of me for making a mature decision. My dad said I'd thank them someday for pushing me toward better options. They threw this whole thing about how they knew he wasn't right for me and how they'd been waiting for me to figure it out. That's when it hit me how messed up the whole thing was. They spent 2 years making me feel bad about someone I cared about. They never gave him a real chance. They just saw someone without a college plan and decided he wasn't worth their time. And maybe Owen and I wouldn't have lasted anyway, but I'll never know if we ended because of actual problems or because I'd spent so long hearing how wrong he was for me that I started believing it. I started seeing this guy from my econ class a few months later. His name was Brett, and he was everything my parents wanted. Business major, internship lined up, drove a new car his parents bought him. My mom loved him immediately. She'd invite him to family dinners and brag to her friends about him. My dad would talk to him about investment strategies and networking. Brett was fine. He was polite and smart and had his life together, but he also talked over me constantly and never remembered anything I told him. He'd make plans without asking if I was free, and then get annoyed when I couldn't go. Once I mentioned missing Owen's truck because Brett's car was always too cold, and he looked at me like I'd said something in another language. He asked why I'd ever date someone who drove a truck. I broke up with Brett after 4 months. My parents were confused. They asked what happened, and I told them he wasn't my type. My mom said I was being too picky. My dad said relationships took work, and maybe I'd given up too fast. I didn't bother explaining.